US President Joe Biden signed an executive order on cryptocurrencies on March 9. 6 key priorities for developing national policy for digital currencies. The order mentions urgency in exploring the creation of a US digital dollar. The order is bound to set the future course of digital assets and cryptocurrencies in the US with massive implications on a global scale. So a digital dollar is on its way. And I want to talk about the details of this order. And I'm a little fidgety here, so I really want a table. So let's go to our second location, to our coffee table. So highlights of this order: highest urgency on research into a potential US CBDC, which is central bank digital currency, is what the order really said. Monetary authorities globally exploring and introducing CBDCs, ensuring responsible development of digital assets. Dramatic growth in digital assets markets have profound impacts, is what the order said. Unique features of digital assets in absence of oversight can pose risks. The order also mentioned that it must ensure controls accountability for digital asset system and then support tech that promotes responsible development and use of digital assets is also to be introduced. Now, this is very interesting. India has also been planning to get a CBDC, and we've been looking at the global platform to partner, or let's say to actually, go together, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that this needs global effort. So what does introduction of digital dollar really mean? We'll talk about this with our guest. We have with us Sheenam Arora, COO, Wrapped Asset Project. We have Sharat Chandra, VP Research and Strategy, Earth ID, which is a global decentralized self-sovereign identity management platform. A very warm welcome to both of you. Sheenam, to you first. What would be the impact of this digital dollar, which is on its way?
Hi, Arun. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I think it will be great for countries. See, if you look at it, running a currency for a country is a very expensive and a tedious process. So if actually a digital dollar would come, I think the smaller country who as of right now is spending a lot of money on having their own ecosystem would actually prefer using a digital dollar. I mean, I would actually do that. And another thing, it will be great, for transfer also. For example, as of right now, when we use Tether, because, it's a crypto which is backed by US dollar. But if a digital dollar would come, why would I prefer? I would actually prefer using a digital dollar than using Tether. So I think the impact is going to be good. But I think that US is quite late in announcing something like that, because there are a lot of countries who are already ahead of US who already announced their own CBDCs.
Okay, picking cue from what you said, that, you would be doing it, and it actually gives you confidence. But on the other hand, this question is for you, Mr. Chandra. So the Bank Policy Institute, which is an industry group that represents large US banks, said on 9th March that it was confident that future research would conclude that CBDC would pose considerable and unavoidable cost to the financial system and economy while producing few, if any, tangible benefits. So do you think this move will annoy private banks and exchanges there, Mr. Chandra?
So I don't think that's a very qualified statement, for the simple reason that I would just like to quote Bank for International Settlements. They said that cross-border remittances can be reduced to half if you're using CBDCs. So if you look at a global trade, right, or in the context of the current geopolitical crisis where certain countries cut off from SWIFT network, right? So how do countries like, say, India, for that matter, who are dependent upon, let's say, oil imports, how do they engage with, let's say, Russian oil, right? So a CBDC or a CBDC bridge, if I can use that term, between, let's say, two countries, they can interact or exchange value between themselves, regardless of the SWIFT network. So I think that's where the world will gradually move to, where we'll have a reserve currency, not the dependency on the dollar world order, right? So that you can interact or engage with countries or parties where your strategic interests lie. And that's where a CBDC, because it's the central bank money, there's no counterparty settlement happening, right? The entire equation goes out of the picture. So that's where central bank digital currency bridge between multiple nations, and a multi-CBDC bridge project is already underway with People's Bank of China, Hong Kong Monetary Authority. So a lot is already happening as we speak. So I would strongly say that there's a lot of potential as far as CBDC in terms of cross-border trade as well, even in domestic trade. Even Finance Minister said that the interbank settlement can be made more efficient.
Sure. Interesting that you mentioned Russian oil also, because we'll get into that discussion as well in a short while. Sheenam, so we look at US dollar when it comes to global financial system. You think digital dollar coming into play will actually influence the global financial system? How will it be affected if it has to?
Oh, absolutely. I think it will impact, because if you as of right now look at the current system, if I look at the global remittance, if you look at the settlements, you look at, it takes, first of all, a lot of time, and it's a very expensive process. See, I believe banks would be the one who will get most impacted. As of right now, how the bank's infrastructure work is, people actually deposit money in their bank accounts, and bank uses that money to actually fund the loans that they probably give it to other users, right? But if the CBDC comes into the market, people will probably have no bank accounts, will also be able to use it because of the federal reserves. Federal government will come into the play. So I think it's going to impact it very in a positive way. But apart from that, other thing is that other countries like China, India, when they also launch the CBDC, the dependency on the dollar will reduce quite a bit. So,
okay.
I think.
Okay, and time and again, Mr. Chandra, we've seen Prime Minister Narendra Modi also talking about a global coordination when it comes to cryptocurrency, and it has emphasized, our country has emphasized on it several times. So will India make use of this move, or let's say pick their learnings, because we are also in the process of bringing a CBDC?
Right. So as a country, India should definitely look forward to the best practices when it comes to all CBDC projects, and when it comes to global collaboration, because even most of the CBDC projects are kind of driven by Bank for International Settlements Innovation Hub. So I think global collaboration is definitely the key. And if you look at Singapore, Monetary Authority of Singapore, they have something called Project Dunbar, where they are engaging with countries like Malaysia and Australia. So I think India should definitely engage with these CBDC bridge projects like Project Dunbar, because that's where also a significant amount of Indian trade also happens there, right? If you look at APAC region, or Malaysia and Australia, or Singapore for that matter. And since India already has existing arrangements with Monetary Authority of Singapore, so doing those collaborations will become much more easier. And through NPCI and MAS both are interlinked when it comes to enabling faster payments as well. And since NPCI has gone global with now its UPI is available in Nepal as well, right? So why not take UPI further and start using digital rupee on UPI rails in areas where UPI already has some presence?